Hi, I'm Brian Levy. I'm the Chief Relationship Officer at Manchester Living, and I'm the host of the Manchester Living podcast. The purpose of the podcast is to help people navigate the complex maze of elder care. Today, the title of this show is AI the New Modern Medicine? You don't even know if this is really me. I don't know if this is really me. First, let's get to new and noteworthy. One of my favorite technology-related clips is a conversation that was on the Today Show between the hosts as the internet was just coming about. So let's roll the clip.
Back now at 56 past, I wasn't prepared to translate that as I was doing that little tease.
Oh, that's
that little mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At.
See, that's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'd never heard
Or
it.
around
I'd never heard it said. I'd always seen the mark, but never heard it said. And then it sounded stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC.
I heard be around big fight up in the lunchroom the other week.
There it is. Violence at NBC. GE.com. I mean,
well, Allison should know.
What is internet anyway?
Internet is that
massive computer network.
The one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
No, she can't say anything in 10 seconds or less.
Allison will be in the studio shortly.
What does it mean?
It's a giant computer network made up of started from.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
It's like a computer
billboard.
billboard.
It's not in it. It's a computer billboard, but it's nationwide, and it's several universities and everything all joined together.
Right.
And others can access it.
Right.
And it's getting bigger and bigger all the time.
It came in really handy during the quake. A lot of people, that's how they were communicating out to tell family and loved ones they were okay because all the phone lines were down.
I was telling Katie, and I've been
But you don't need that. You don't need a phone line to operate internet.
No.
I feel like I'm having a deja vu all over again. Seriously, this is that modern day. All right. Artificial intelligence, or AI, promises to revolutionize medicine, giving us a better understanding of health and disease and the ability to make more decisions based on data. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the number of older adults is anticipated to hit 90 million by 2050. It is unlikely that AI will completely replace physicians anytime soon. The human aspect of care, including empathy, compassion, critical thinking, and complex decision-making, are invaluable in providing holistic patient care beyond diagnoses and treatment decisions. On today's episode, is AI the New Modern Medicine? My guests are Sam Stanton with Red Button AI. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And Dr. Raymon Aggarwal, founder of Preferred Health Partners, a concierge medical practice in Dallas, Texas. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Let's jump in. Sam, I'm going to start with you. Who are you and what do you do?
I am Sam Stanton, and I am Chief Button Pusher at redbutton.ai, and we help brands and organizations and teams understand first what AI is and maybe what it's not, and then we help people understand how and where they can apply it with education and then guidelines and principles. And then finally, we design custom AI to work on people's biggest challenges, either known or unknown, to make them more efficient, more productive, more creative, more successful.
Great. Dr. Aggarwal.
My bio is not nearly that long. I'm a physician. I do internal medicine. I've been doing it for 25 years now. And I started with paper charts, moved hesitantly into the electronic medical record, and now have to deal with the upcoming AI changes that are happening in modern medicine, as you said.
Yeah, it's interesting. Raymon and Dr. Aggarwal and I were driving on a trip, and we were, I don't know what brought it up, and we started talking about AI, and he says, yeah, I use AI, and I almost threw the brakes on him, like, how do you use AI? Like, you're a doctor. And then we started talking about it, and sure enough. Will the AI tool result in improved data analysis and insights in the medical field, or will it just confuse us?
That for
You
me?
want to start with that?
Oh my gosh, I think it'll do both.
You're right.
It'll do all of the above. It's already hard. I mean, we have so many. Not only are physicians struggling with AI, patients are struggling with AI, and then they call us. You know, we have so many patients that struggle with portals, you know, with emails, with communication, and it just gets hard.
I think it's first that it's a change, right? And it's totally different. But I think the thing that everyone needs to keep in mind is that we should approach it all as a human-centric technology, meaning that the AI will do nothing unless you tell it, unless you give it direction, unless you give it a reason, right? And so AI done right does that. And if it's done right, all it's going to do is augment everything that you're trying to do and make things easier and more insightful.
So let me throw this out at you. WebMD
Yes.
is probably the modern day AI of medicine. I mean, when I have friends that, oh my gosh, they self-diagnose and they look up on WebMD, is that what AI is going to be? I sound like Katie Couric.
Yeah, no, this is a great point. So here's a crazy fact to think about. Today, 1,088 journal entries happened in what's it called? MedPub. MedPub.
MedMD.
MedMD.
WebMD.
Oh my gosh.
1,088, which are probably really relevant to maybe a case you met with today. But how, in your busy schedule, could you ever stay on top of any of that?
It's impossible.
It's impossible, right? So what you can really use AI for, which is extremely significant, is as opposed to walking in to a patient with just your knowledge of what you have right now, AI will enable you to have all of that knowledge. So unlike, what's it called again?
WebMD.
WebMD. Okay. That is a database.
Yeah.
So when you go look up something, it says, oh, well, here's an article. Here's some information about that, right? And then you have to go read it. You have to decipher it. You have to make sense of it, and you have to apply it. Now, what AI does is it says, let me take all of that knowledge and let me put it into a knowledge base. So when you use AI to go look at that same information, it doesn't say, well, here's what you need to go do or look at or think about. It actually gives you that insight. And it'll go one step further and give you some reasoning as to how you might apply or things that you might consider. So it's like not having just you and one reference book, but having 1,000 experts in the room with you.
Well, and I mean, it's even helpful for day-to-day operating in the office where, you know, we have, as a primary care physician, we have a lot of specialists that send us their reports and send us their, you know, findings. And a lot with these EMRs, they generate 30-page reports that have entries from the first time they saw them to the second time, to the third time, to the fourth time, and you've got, you know, 17 pages that have nothing to do with the current situation. But the AI that we use that has been implemented there can summarize all that 30 pages into like half a paragraph and tell you what's relevant. And it'll also pull out the other relevant reports in that, group them together. So it's much easier to synthesize all that information that's coming from outside.
Yeah, I think another interesting thing to point out here is the stuff I'll be talking about or we'll be talking about is not happening in the future. This isn't flying cars and robots and lasers. This is happening today. Now, whether you're using it or not, I don't know. You will be soon or you won't be relevant. But let me give you a great example along those lines. That's a phenomenal use of AI. It's not just to create an email to a patient or something like that, but to really use it for analysis, right? For summarization. So the other day I came home and my neighbor was outside. He goes, "Hey man, let's go talk. Let's go hang out. Let's go smoke a cigar." So we go back there and he's my neighbor and I know him, but I don't know him. And he goes, "What do you do?" I said, just all kinds of stuff. "What do you do?" And he goes, "Well, I'm a senior fellow at fill in the blank." And I said, "Oh, wow, that sounds important. What are you working on? What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, we're working on medical devices that go in the body that connect to the dorsal root ganglia," which, if you didn't know, I'm not a doctor and have no idea what that means.
It's a good thing you have one, though.
But I had AI with me and I said, "Hey, what is a dorsal root ganglia?" And it came back and it gave me all this information. I was like, "Oh, you're talking about this and this." And he's looking at me like, "What is this magic you're doing over there?" Right? And I said, "Yeah, I mean, this is what it is." I said, "What are you doing with it?" He goes, "We're trying to figure out how to connect to that and so that we can keep the I'll get it wrong, but the frequency or the connections to the rest of the body, because people with Parkinson's lose that, and that's why they stutter. So we're doing that. Oh, okay. How would you connect that? Where would you do that? He's like, I don't know what you're doing. It'll get it all wrong, because there's a lot of work that went behind that. And so sure enough, it pulled up and it said, well, this is some things to consider. It didn't say go do it and just go plug it in, right?
Right.
How about this? And he's like, yeah. I said, but you don't need that. You need to take that to the boardroom so that you can get jillions of dollars to go do research and develop it, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, let's do an executive summary for that then, to your point. So create an executive summary I can take to the boardroom and blah, blah, blah. And it did. I said, but wait, they're not scientists. They're not doctors. They're businessmen. Make it so that a 16-year-old would understand. And it spit this thing out, right? And then it was able to take it in, now put together an action plan on how we'd start doing this and what phases and do all that. And it did all that. So, he's lost all color in his face. He doesn't understand what's happened. We haven't even lit our cigar yet, right? But I said, well, how would you normally do that? And he's like, well, I can't even use Google at work. So I've got to come home and I do it here. And I would find that report that you're pulling from was Swedish. It was 400 pages long. So I would have to go read that, get that translated, read it, make sense of it, write up a thing. And by the way, I'm not a writer, right? And take that to the boardroom. And how long would that take? He said 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. So there it is there. So that gave him the ability, because what AI is not going to do is take anyone's job. It's going to make your life that much easier. You're not in your position because you can read really well. You're not in your position because you can write emails, because you can schedule, right? You're in your position for your knowledge and know-how and your ability to speak with people and have empathy and understand and use your critical thinking. So if you had all those menial tasks taken care of and you could focus on what you love and what you do best, that's the game changer.
Wow. Trying not to be blown away at every question and every answer, but wow.
But it's true. It's true, guys. And wow, back here, he's doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. Prepare for this podcast. Okay, what might I get asked? How should I respond? I'm going to go see this patient. They're showing these conditions. What are some things I should think for or look at? Anyway.
Okay. How is AI being used for early detection of diseases commonly affected by older adults, such as Alzheimer's or heart disease? We'll start with you, and then we'll go to you.
A
blood test and an MRI and a CAT scan.
I think, let's talk about breast cancer. We've been using computer-assisted detection now for some time, and we find that it more accurately, or equally accurately, but more thoroughly diagnoses those lesions that we need to pay attention to. Heart disease, same thing. We use artificial intelligence to read coronary artery plaque. We know that the human eye has a limitation of how many shades it can see, whereas the computers can read a lot more shades than the human eye can, and assist us in detecting earlier plaque than we had before. So there's a lot of use for these. Alzheimer's disease, I'm not sure. I don't really deal with Alzheimer's disease that often, so I'm not really sure where the AI is at right now for that kind of disease. But for cancer detection, we also have multi-cancer detection tests that are read by AI in order to process huge amounts of information. Genetic testing, where you take all these snippets, and it used to take weeks, maybe years.
Yeah.
I think decades the first time.
Yeah.
It cost $1 billion for the first human genome. Now you can get your human genome back in days and at like $200. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's all kinds of, I don't know if it's called digital medicine or all that sort of stuff coming out, but like in that research capacity, I was just in preparation for this. MIT now has leveraged AI to do their research, and they're now doing they're doing hundreds of millions of complications and trials on a particular instance or drug or whatever they're doing, and getting results in days in comparison to doing the same thing to 27.4 years to do. So right now or previously, you would say in our best guesstimation, after we've worked for the last 9 months to figure this out, we think we should test this and this because we can't throw everyone and everything at it and try everything. But you can now, because now you've got those 1,000 experts in the room that you're using to do that.
Right.
So you're going to see the evolution of drugs and processes and the science going that fast. And one of the things, one of the first stuff that came out, and we're really, guys, talking about AI has been around for 50 years. But the AI we're talking about today is generative AI, which is completely different than everything else. And that is the big game changer. And it first came out in more text, and now we're seeing video and photo, which, to your point, it can analyze and see stuff that you'd never see. And even if you did, you might not know what it is, but it's already correlated it to something else. And as far as Alzheimer's is considered, I'm actually working with some guys in London on this. Just talking with the patient, and my father-in-law had this too. And there's questions you can ask and things that you can do, and the way they say things and do that, you can use AI to assess responses. You can use AI to figure out what are the particular questions that should be asked that are specific to this situation here, not one size fits all. Mm-hmm. So it's extreme personalization, and that makes it so much more valuable.
Wow. How will the use of AI affect privacy and HIPAA and even cybersecurity?
So AI is a type of technology, a digital technology. Mm-hmm. All of that stuff, I believe, has already been figured out. Where are your digital records done, and what are the procedures for that, right? So it's going to follow and carry right on to there. So when we talk with big corporations, it's like, and by the way, only 30% of big corporations have figured this out and put their guidelines and policies in place. And I'm sure medical's in the same position. It's going to follow a very similar path to what happened when social media came out of, hey, what are we going to do? I mean, it's a lot of common sense stuff. Don't go put stuff out on the public web. Right. Don't go share PPI, right? And like we have AI because we work with some pharmaceuticals where we're working with physicians and whatever. And we have the AI that sits in the interactions, but then it goes and scrapes all that stuff out. So it makes it safe. So use the AI to make it safe, to make it stand up to whatever the rules are whenever the rules are made.
So
seems circular,
right?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, but so
will humans provide oversight on what is out there? I'll give you an example. If I wrote a white paper on dementia that was completely inaccurate, that would be part of what AI is going to pull when someone reaches AI. God, it sounds so. This is like,
no. Keep going. Keep going. No, I know okay. Where you're going. To get
so
it all
I write
out.
This white paper on dementia, and it's completely false.
Right.
And then Dr. Aggarwal goes in and searches that exact subject and says something about dementia, whatever. And my white paper that's inaccurate is going to dilute the accuracy of what he's going to receive.
100%. But in that circumstance, we're not even talking AI right now, right? But in that circumstance, if you have basic common sense, you wouldn't take something you just found on the web and go, oh, this is what we're going to do. A lawyer did that and made the news and the headlines of he tried his whole case online and took it in and tried it. And the judge said, are you an idiot?
Right.
And the answer is yes. Yeah. And you're out. right. Again, human centric.
So the algorithms aren't biased. They're going to take a gazillion sources, and my inaccurate source, me, is going to the wayside because they're more accurate.
Here's the real big problem. This isn't about the tech or the innovation or whatever. It's about the knowledge and where did that knowledge come from? Where did it come from? Not what it is. Okay? Because think about this. And I showed you a video earlier of me that's not me.
Tripped me out.
Okay?
Yeah.
And not a single part of that was me. But that's video. What if I'm just writing a report on whatever you're working on and putting that on the web, which, by the way, has been happening since September of 2023. That's called synthetic media. It's created. Could be good, could be completely wrong, could completely direct this election we're in, or not. What's real? People believe 73% of the time what's in their Facebook stream over my expert and buddy sitting right next to me. He just told me this. It's like, yeah, but I saw it in my Facebook stream. So if you think about that, right now, Google is getting polluted with synthetic media. So if you're going to try to get information and you get this information back, which you're not going to Google, I'm not saying that.
Hey, I'm not above it.
Right. Well, you got to start, right? And so anyway, you get this information back and you have a couple that you come back and you go, well, this is garbage, this is garbage, this is garbage. How many times do you keep going to Google?
Right.
Right?
Right. You go to your trusted sources.
So you go to a new thing now, which everyone should check out, called perplexity.ai, which is like Google and AI had a baby.
We're going to put that URL out.
So it's not giving you, here's an ad. You were asking about Alzheimer's. Well, here's a drug for it. And here's a clinic that takes care of it. No, it says, oh, let me tell you a little bit more about it. And it gives you that insight that you need.
So
But the important thing there is it also cites where it came from. So you need to go back and see where that came from. And then if you go, oh, well, it came from Dr. So-and-so who's an expert in that, and it really was posted by him, not by someone for him, then we're good. But try to get general public to understand that, forget it.
Or me.
Yeah.
What is the potential for a misdiagnosis or errors?
It should be zero because it's like I met with some, I hit the table. I met with some senior military guys this week, which that's an interesting conversation. What are we doing over there? What can you tell me? What can't you tell me? Right? And it was sir, yes, sir, and all that stuff. But what they said was, no matter what, we will always be 99% AI with 1% human to hit the red button, right?
Yeah.
But that's what we all should be doing, right? If you have a bunch of interns doing research for you, you just don't run into the OR and go, I don't know if you do OR, but you don't run into the OR and
I don't ever run into an OR.
But you don't just give someone advice based on whoever gave it to you, right?
Right.
You have to put your expertise,
Absolutely.
your domain specificity. I know this. I go to you because I know you know that without putting your blessing on it.
Yeah,
right?
and going back to the medical records part, there are times where it gets it wrong.
Yeah.
And it reads the wrong part. Or
85% of the time, that is the hallucination rate. So AI is like a happy puppy. It wants to just give you an answer. Here's your answer.
Right.
But 15% of the time, it's dead wrong. Then that's getting better every day. But that's something to consider.
But that's where we have to be the filter. We have to be the, in our EMR, it will never import information until you've signed off on it. And he said, yes, this is accurate. Because you don't want it putting in inaccurate information, to your point, because that will mess up the entire record for that patient. And it's very hard to remove information from a patient's chart as well. That is really a difficult process. Once it's in there forever.
Wow. Okay. So has the lack of regulations and standards affected the product development or AI? Who's
No.
gonna govern?
I mean, to the contrary, it's letting everyone, we call it FAFO, F around and find out, fool around and find out. Right?
FAFO. Yeah.
Okay. So it's allowing people to go, I think that'll work. It might work. Let me try that. Let me pull that back a little bit. That didn't work. Right. So they're going through rapid iteration. To give you some context, there's something called Moore's Law. So every 2 years, technology doubles in power and speed and intelligence and drops in price, unless you're buying an iPhone. But now what's happening is we're seeing AI grow 100 times in a year. So it's going so fast and iterating so quick that, by the time we go through all this, well, let's have another meeting and another hearing and figure all that stuff out and put the rules down, the horse is out of the barn. And the other thing is you're making rules for the U.S., but we don't live in the U.S. We live in the world. It's a global thing. And so this is what we're doing, and all the bad guys everywhere else don't use it. Now, I will say we are in a really good place in that the majority of the foundational AI folks and companies are here in the U.S., and they are working with the government to figure out how we can protect us and everyone using it and the country with that. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. How will patients, just regular people, use AI as it relates to their medical needs?
Well, here's a great example. I've got multiple great examples. So one is my brother's wife froze in the kitchen, had a stroke. They run her to the hospital. They do all these tests. They come back. She's got a grapefruit-sized tumor in her brain. So there's my brother, completely traumatized with a doctor, no disrespect, telling, here's the scientific blah, 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 blah. And you couldn't understand it on a regular day, let alone when you're having complete trauma yourself. Using AI, obviously a tool I gave him because he's got a nerd brother, captured that and then said, what did he just say? What should I ask him? Do I need second opinions? What should we do about this? I mean, making sense of all of that. Yes, we're doing it in business meetings, and that's great. But, I mean, that's so powerful to be able to have that knowledge. My wife had breast cancer, and we go through all the traditional chemo and radiation and do all that stuff. And you're great. There's no more, any of that. But she couldn't get out of bed. For 9 months, we went to every specialist everywhere. And eventually, someone figured out, oh, you know what? I'm going to test you for Epstein-Barr. That sounds like that. Because my wife is a go-getter, no matter. I mean, I've never seen her. And sure enough, that's what it was. And there's no cure, but there's things to do around that. When AI came out a couple of years later, I was like, if you had just completed chemo and radiation and had all these symptoms, what are things that I should look at so that I can tell my doctor when I go see her that, hey, I don't know, I was just doing a little, and I know you hate having Google doctors come in.
Oh, I don't mind.
But,
actually don't mind. I think as long as they will trust me over Google, I'm fine with it.
Well, that's it. Right?
I'm good with the assist.
And so the very first thing it said is you should check for Epstein-Barr. I mean, right?
Wow.
So how can a patient use it? It can. The biggest thing a patient wants is an understanding of what's happening and an understanding that you know what's going on and that you're going to help me, right? And then everything, it just melts off you. You're like, okay, this is a messed up situation or whatever it is, but I feel like I understand what's going on and we got it under control. So providing simple, common man explanation and execution of what you can do. And again, guys, that's today. That's right now. That's not future flying cars. And that's so powerful. So empowering your patients.
Yeah.
And thus saving you time so you can see more patients and spend more time with them.
Yeah, and absolutely. There's patients who are really good historians. They can tell you their symptoms. They can do it chronologically. They can do it orderly. They can do it really, really well. But there's a lot that jump around. They're going from one topic to another. They're going here, there, everywhere. And the AI will sort it out so that, and, I cannot type. I wish I could. I failed that class in college probably because I forgot to take it. But trying to type everything and listen to somebody, and it's a struggle. And now with AI, that struggle is eliminated. I can listen to them.
Yeah.
It will organize what they're saying into the right sections, and it will summarize what their main points are. So
AI is going to chart for you?
Not chart, but it will, for certain patients who have a difficult time being a good historian, which is not something we should expect from our patients for them to be a good historian. It will give us that assist to make the history better so that it's more easily identifiable what they're asking us to help them with.
Got it.
So are you allowed to record a patient interaction for that?
I would, but you have to get consent.
Okay. Yeah, because High five, man. That is awesome. I mean, no, that is really awesome, because what AI does and what it excels in, and what we hope we can do that we can't do as great, it's called inference. So it infers, and exactly what he just said. I go on a walk and I am recording what I'm saying about some great idea or whatever, and a dog walks by and I pet the dog, and it hears me petting the dog and talking about that and doing all that, and I'm jumping all over the place. But then when I'm done, I can say, please make sense of this. Please turn this into a whole company, a whole product, or whatever it may be, or a whole diagnosis, or give me that timeline. And it'll go through all of that and make sense of it, like you're saying. It also listens for like we did one the other day for a human resources manager who has the questions they ask the new recruits, and for a chef, do you like to cook breakfast, lunch, or dinner? And his answer was breakfast. But throughout that interaction, he's like, man, at dinner, I love cooking this. I love doing this and this. Now, that wasn't the answer, but the AI inferred, and it weighed that he talked about that 5 times more and said, even though he answered this is that. So same thing when you're doing I don't know what you call it, a diagnosis or just a charting or whatever you call it. Yeah. You just need people to talk, and it will make sense of it.
Is AI going to affect the cost of medicine and elder care?
It should, but there's all kinds of things in place that have been there that people need to protect. But yeah, I mean, if you can spend less time and be more productive and more impactful, that's one thing. If you can develop a drug in a couple days or do all that testing and all that instead of decades, that should affect that. Does that carry on to the end? I don't know. It should.
Do you ever use AI when you're looking at a chart or a patient and thinking, okay, what am I going to prescribe? I'm going to prescribe this or that. Do you use it in that sense?
I don't know if I do it intentionally, but again, with our electronic health system, when you put in a diagnosis, let's say sinusitis, it will automatically pull up the most common medications used for that diagnosis.
Is that AI?
Sure. It's a simple form of AI. I mean, that's just hitting a database and looking for...
So as time goes on, what he's using is going to be more sophisticated and more accurate.
Well, it's also going to help him maybe really, really absolutely diagnose with confidence for sure that it was sinusitis or whatever you said it was, right? And it'll give him, let's be honest, when I sit down with someone to say, hey, let's figure out how AI can impact your world, right? And I said, what are all the things you do in your job during the day? There's just this, oh my gosh, where do I start? That's the hardest part of anything we do, is getting started, right? So if AI can do that jumpstart and put 90% of it down, as we said, it's not going to do the 100%, so that you can start and then go, oh no, that's wrong, but this is right, that's right, that's right, and don't forget this. Look how far along the road you are.
Right.
Right? So that helps that. And here's the real key is if you can train and build your own AI and your own practices AI and your own company's AI so that it's working off that. Because the next question is, well, doesn't this just homogenize everything and everyone? Yeah, it does if you use Google Health, but I really want to use his knowledge and his health, and that's in his knowledge base. So I'm going there even more so.
Right, and it does. It's not homogenized because it pulls in the drugs that you use for that condition.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the ones not some national database, but ones that you prescribe for that particular condition.
And I wasn't saying by
No. I know. I'm just clarifying.
No, but it would also look at your last 30 diagnosis of that, and it would also look at, even though you diagnosed it, what were the outcomes, and start measuring that and say, well, he did it this many times, he had this sort of response, that really does work with when he diagnoses this and this. That's the power of AI, to do that analysis.
Wow. What haven't I asked you that I should?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot going on, and there's new features coming out all the time. So I don't even know what they are some of the times. But it is really interesting. It's really nice to have things that are easily done. I had a patient that was out of town, and the AI, you put in where they are, and it'll find the pharmacy next to them, so you can send their prescription in without them knowing where they are, where the pharmacy is, and
basic
it's
logistics.
a block away, which would have taken me 15 steps.
Yeah.
And then things that you do repetitively are much easier with AI. The things that you have to do over and over and over, it kind of takes that monotony out of your day as well.
Got it. What haven't I asked you that I should?
Well, I think the big thing is to understand this is a big change. It's a change in the way we look at things, the change in the way we should think about them, the change in the way in which we respond. And humans don't like change, right? And so how do we do that? And we were just talking today, like you just got in a Waymo, a taxi without a driver. That totally freaked you out. The first time you got in, you were probably shaking and doing all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But the minute you were done, you couldn't wait to get in it again because it was awesome. It was completely different. It's like, oh, wait, I got a human driving me now? What am I doing? But the point is, it's a change, and we have to adapt and adopt. And unlike anything in the history of man, we've never had anything happen so fast. It is completely overwhelming to most because it's this big, hairy AI, and I've got to do AI because it's going to take my job, or all those kind of things is what everyone's thinking. Yes, but it goes back to how do you eat an elephant, right? One little bite at a time. So just go try. Go try to write an email to a client. Go look up a pharmacy. Go write I absolutely love hearing you going and analyzing and going through huge report or whatever to get the information you need. Super powerful use of AI. Go try it. And I guarantee you're going to get blown away, and you will save hours of time during the day to do so.
One more question, and I hate to sound like Katie and Bryant, but when you say go do it, I'm asking, and I know viewers are where do you go to what's
to do
the X symbol? Yeah. Where do you go? Where is AI?
How do you spell AI? No, so
that too.
No,
back to flying cars.
Yeah. No, so break it down and get very simple. So AI came out in 23 or whenever it was, right? And it came out and it went to 100 million users in 2 months. That's the fastest evolution of anything, right? But it didn't come out with a manual. And where is that? So the first one that came out is ChatGPT. You can go to chatgpt.com. That is the Coca-Cola of generative AI. Google has one called Gemini. Microsoft has one called Copilot. There's a whole bunch of them. Doesn't matter. Go find an AI assistant, okay? And as I said, it does not come with a manual, but it is the manual. So you go down to the little prompt window, which looks like a Google search window, and you can ask it, how do I use you? If I wanted to do a report, what information would you need from me? And you ask it things like that. And it's so non-traditional. It's a change, right? But you will be shocked when you see how it guides you and what happens. And one last tip. This isn't Google where you put in something and you get a response and you're like, it's okay. AI is not a mind reader, right? So when you get an average response, it's because you gave it an average prompt.
The more you give it, the more you're going to get.
The more direction. I want it to sound like Dr. So-and-so. Well, I want to do this and this and this. And and by the way, just like I asked earlier, this is for whoever the audience is. This is for my boss. This is for a patient. This is for a 16-year-old. This is for my 13-year-old daughter. Bruh. Right? So put it in that language. And he goes, okay, cool. And it will do that.
This is for orientation related to in-home elder care.
Yeah.
Boom.
In the medical, this and this and this.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is our brand, so make it sound like our brand. And when you do that, it goes out and looks at every publication your brand has ever done and goes, they speak like this, they talk like this, they use these words, they use a lot of empathy in their messaging. Got it, cool, I'll do it this way. And it spits it out and you'll go, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. I'm not sleeping tonight. It's nuts.
I I did get non-medical use out of AI. I had to read my lease and give me comments on my lease. Save me thousands of dollars.
Every contract I get, I drop it in there and say, please look at this and make sure it's fair to both parties. Please look at this and tell me if I'm missing anything. Is there anything I should look at? I didn't replace my lawyer. He's still getting $9 jillion an hour, right? But what I did was I went to my lawyer who's like, why are you here again, Sam? And I said, I need you to look at this. These are the things that I think we should look at. And now he's looking at me like, when did you get your degree? Which, by the way, that's an interesting thing. ChatGPT 4 has passed the bar. It's in the 96th percentile for the medical
absolutely
thing, right? So, I mean, it's at that level. When it first came out, it was like a sophomore in high school knowledge level. So you're like, oh, well, that's cool. It gave me an answer, right? But now it's PhD expert level. So you've got an assistant right here that can provide you so much knowledge at that level. Why aren't you using it? And I'll throw one more tip out that's important for business and medical and all that stuff. Because the question that you normally get asked is, oh, but if I put it on ChatGPT, the whole world's going to see it, right? Because it just goes out for everyone. And yes, it will if you use a free account. So spend $20.
Yeah.
And when you spend the $20, you can say, click on the button and say, don't use my interactions to train the rest of the world.
Yeah. So could I type in, I was diagnosed with this and I was prescribed this and this.
Yes.
What else should I know? What else should I be taking?
Yeah. Well, no, like, hey, I got bad tendinitis or whatever, and it's just started since I've been taking lisinopril. Is there any correlation?
Make it Levaquin.
Right? No, I mean, seriously. Because I can't get into my doctor because he's busy or whatever, right? And and I want to go running. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, that gives me that quick thing so that I can go, oh, no, maybe there is something. So now I can go in informed to my doctor. I feel more assured of what's going on. I'm a little more in control of what I'm doing as opposed to hoping I get the right information. It's your second, third, fourth, and fifth opinion.
Great comment to end on. Yeah, that's it. It's your next opinions. All right, on to the Nugget portion of this program. Oh my God. Back to the basics. Let's do a cartoon. In researching for this episode, I came across this and I thought it was great. What does he have that I don't have? Fur, a wet nose, and most importantly, a heart. AI doesn't have a heart, but a puppy does.
Oh, timeout signal.
Oh, you're going to tell me AI is empathetic?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to tell you for your world, from the little bit that I've learned using AI before I came up here, it's seniors who are many that are probably going into these situations are solo. They've lost their partner, right?
Their heart.
Mm-hmm. They've lost their sounding board. They've lost their daily interaction. And AI is a computer. It's not going to work. Well, you should check out Pi, P-I. It's empathetic AI. So my 84-year-old mother who lost her husband of 52 years, who doesn't know how to fill up the car with gas or do any of that stuff and has a jillion questions about everything, she now has Pi, and she hits a button. It talks to her. She's English. It speaks in English with a British accent, and she talks to it like a real person, and it talks back. And it's going to be 85% accurate. We had to sign that paper, Mom. I want you to understand this is not going to be 100%. Don't go jump off a bridge if it tells you to, but use this. And so she uses AI constantly for companionship and insight and just, oh, I love this movie. Tell me more about that. Right? Empathetic AI, Pi, P-I.
So that cartoon that I put up is no longer funny, and whoever wrote that, you're an idiot. All right, let's move.
Yeah, another interesting thing that happens with the AI, and where I have used it quite often, is in people who don't speak English well. And I say, just speak in your native language.
109 languages ChatGPT
can do. Translates it in real time, so you can have a conversation with them. and they're speaking their native language.
Yeah, we did a project where we were helping train people, and they have to go through a scenario. And I mean, we had it dialed in. It's so dead on perfect. And we got all the analysis that does all this kind of stuff. And we're all ready to go. And the second person that walked up said, "But I am from France, and I speak with all of my people in French. Will this do that?" And we went, "Fafo. I don't know. Let's try that." And to your point, she spoke in French. It did its translation. It did its processing, its inference. It then came back and it put it back into French and told her. And we're just sitting there going, "I don't know. Bonsoir," and sure enough, it told her exactly. I mean, she was like, "Yeah, that's right." So it does 109 languages.
Wow. Yeah. And so you can take a full history. Yep. You can talk to them. Examine them, you can give them a plan, and it prints it in their language for them to take home.
And you can say, what questions did they not answer? Should I ask them? And it'll say, here's all the questions. You go here.
Okay.
It's a lot to take in.
A lot. Let's move on to the lightning round, the non-clinical, non-genius AI portion of this. Want viewers to get to know you guys outside of this like brainiac world. Start with you and move on to the great doctor. Where were you born and raised?
New York, and then after going to Europe and all over the place, moved to Dallas when I was about 5.
Welcome.
Born in Rochester, New York. Oh.
Neighbor.
Moved to Dallas, moved to Plano when I was 2, and did a brief sojourn in North Carolina to go to college at Duke, and then back to Dallas.
Yes, you did. College and degree.
Business management and marketing, Cal State Long Beach, and University of Texas.
College and degree.
Duke University undergrad, UT Southwestern for medical school and residency.
Great. What modern technology annoys you?
It's Snapchat that I have to do with my daughter every day.
Okay. What modern technology annoys you?
Almost all of it.
Do you play a musical instrument?
No.
Do you play a musical instrument?
I used to play the violin, but I stopped in college.
Oh, I got to get a life size of that. Still in touch with childhood friends?
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, childhood, I consider med school my childhood. So
there
yes.
you go. Yeah. What smell brings back childhood memories?
Lavender.
Lemon cake.
Nice. Call or text?
Oh, text.
Both.
Dream job as a child?
Something technology-wise.
Segue.
Video games.
All right.
Astronaut.
Wow. What weird talent do you have?
What weird talent do I have? I am a master's of Santa Clausology. So I understand all the intricacies of being a professional Santa. Not that I have the beer or anything to do that, but that's a fascinating, crazy world. And we did a bunch of experiences back in the past with
It's
that.
kind of a subculture, but
Yeah.
what weird
I have
talent do
no
you have?
talent, except for I can spell words backwards and forwards really fast.
That answers that. Can you change a tire?
Yeah.
Can you change a tire?
I can make a phone call.
Boy. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
iPhone or Android?
I have an iPhone, but I miss my Android.
Karaoke, yes or no?
No.
Never.
Favorite band or music genre?
Oh, I like yacht rock.
Me too.
Yeah.
REM.
Do you believe in aliens?
No.
The legal ones, yes.
What is the most gratifying part of your job?
Helping people understand and utilize new things. We've done that forever. Education and seeing people apply it and their eyes open up.
Yeah.
That's the fun.
I don't feel like I have a job. I love what I do.
Right.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's called work, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you both for being here today. Very insightful, very eye-opening, if you will. Wow, it's a lot to take in. If you are interested in rewatching this episode or any past episodes, you can dial us up on manchesterlivingpodcast.com, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or wherever you get your social media or podcasts. In closing, if there's anything I can ever do for you, don't hesitate to call directly. I will put information for Dr. Aggarwal and for Sam up on the screen if you want to reach out to them directly as well. Thanks for watching.